Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Manga Monday podcast here at the Weird Science Manga and Anime Podcast. And this is hot off the presses again. I'm here with my man, Luke Hollywood. What up, Luke? What up? And we end up having a new book that came out this week, start of a new series, Akane-banashi. It rolls off the tongue, it does, and we'll see. We'll see how this is received.
You are very pessimistic. You say we barely hit the double digits before we get the axe on this one. Jeez.
No, I'm saying that we're going to give it the axe on the show. It'll probably continue. I'm saying we're not going to be tough. I just don't feel like it'll be something that people will really grab onto and might end up being like a PP type deal. That we might like it, but is it a banger? I don't know, but it could be like a Bakuman type deal in a weird way, kind of that deal with this.
It's very niche. I'd say this is even more niche than piano, because like at least you play piano around the world. Only the Japanese people.
I ain't playing the piano.
The Rakugos.
This is the funniest. The Rakugoka. This is the second time that we've dealt with
this.
The
first time we weren't so hard.
Yeah, we were a little confused, and they do throw a lot of terms at you, but by the end,
this is a lot more easy to understand. Like you get the idea.
Maybe.
This is like in the Shoha Shotens, you figure out what the comedy is. Now you figure out what the Rakugo is.
Yeah, I don't know that I figured out anything. I think that they just kind of glossed over it and said, "Hey, this guy stinks and he's banned, even though he shouldn't be." But yeah, that kind of is the idea. Well, that'll be the way that they grab you, is the idea that you want to, grab onto the daughter of this guy. It's a weird way to play this first chapter, though, too. Yeah. But, you kind of want to root for the dad here, and then by the end, who knows if he's even going to be in it anymore. If he is, he's probably a sad sack. But before we get into this, go over to our Twitter at Weird Manga. Follow us and we'll follow you back. Also go to our Instagram at Weird Manga and Weird Science Manga. I'll never get it right. And then go to our Patreon, patreon.com/Weird Science Manga, and get a bunch of things, including early access to a bunch of these Manga Monday shows. We've had 2 in a row that are hot off the presses. So, we have all those waiting at the wings. I know that the next one that goes up is Phantom Seer, so you could listen to that now. But a bunch of other things. I always mention like Battle Angel Alita, the Pokemons, things like that. So you could check that out. But we're here again to talk Akane-banashi, the new serialized deal on the Weekly Shonen Jump. And again, this is what we talked about last week and things like that. I don't know. Maybe this feels like it could be better on Jump Plus, but we'll see. We'll see how it is. I mean, it's the first chapter. There's a lot of comments on Manga Plus. They all seem very positive. So, yeah. So is Red Hood. But with that, Luke, give me some information about this. It was
This is the hot off the presses right this day. Ooh, hot ticket item. This is the Akane-banashis, written by Yuki Suenaga, who, from what I can tell, a brief bit of the Googling, has previously worked on another, I think, another Rakugo story, like a one-shot. So, really staying in their lane there.
Bing bong.
Bing bong indeed. They know them Rakugos, I'll tell you that. Oh, boy. But the interesting thing here, art by Takamasa Moe, however you pronounce that name. Now, the interesting thing is, and I think you would agree, Jim, the art is pretty crispy in this chapter.
It is pretty good.
But previously, Takamasa Moe worked on a football series, of all things, called Ole Golazo. Golazo. That ran for, I think, 12 chapters. So, not a big run.
12 chapters or 12 volumes? Holy moly. Maybe I wasn't off on that 10-chapter deal.
2 volumes.
Then. Who knows?
2 volumes.
Holy moly. What happened?
I don't know. Maybe, they got the red cards.
Time Paradox ended up going more than that. People were up in arms about it. I think that went like 14.
They don't like the footballs. But then they do like the blue locks. So I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on either. Maybe there's not enough room for a bunch of those.
Clearly, Ole Golazo was not the hottest place to play the game. No. So,
it wasn't a banger, Jenny.
No.
So anything else from this? Because, again, there's not much
info. No stage plays, although this would be ripe for stage play potential.
It'd be weird. It'd be like a stage play and a stage
Within
play.
the stage play.
Right? In the stage play. And and I hope I'm pronouncing the Rakugoka right, because it does not. That doesn't go off the tip of my tongue
the guy
either. The Rakugoka.
They're the guy that does the Rakugo. Or the lady who does it. Ooh.
Maybe. We don't know. Even you were saying we don't know much about the Rakugo. And so with that, we don't know if it's a normal thing to possibly get a lady involved and if it's one of those, traditional things that the barriers have to be broken, because by the end, that seems to be what the best character in the book, pretty much Akane might end up doing. But we start off and you end up having a bit of the Rakugo and you end up having Shinta, this guy doing it, and he's likable. I mean, he's got a nice little look to him. He looks like just a normal, regular...
He does have the Okaroon glasses, which does go a long way.
Yeah, he does. A little Harry Potter-esque. I mean, right here, if I put a little, lightning bolt there, it would be good. And he's doing his stuff, and this is like he's practicing. I get the idea that he's using this to try to get, almost like I say, that we could get paid in clicks, but we can't go and get a Big Mac for that. I don't know. I think that he's trying to get, it is a performance, but this lady there, I don't know. For some reason, it felt like it was at a convenience mart by the end of it, the way that they are acting, but not many people have shown up. He's trying to make money. And the big play in this is that he's kind of stuck in this middle rut. He's not the worst of the worst, but he's not a master yet. And if he ends up becoming a master and the Rokugo, you end up making a lot more money. And his wife is, kind of funding things here. So when you have this opening, you have some people are inspired by him. Some people are like, man, this guy's the best. He should be doing better. And then you have others like, I don't see it. I just don't know. So you never get the deal at the beginning. I think that it's played out. So you don't get, oh, he stinks or he's
very
great.
Middle of the road.
Kind of that middle deal. Yeah, so we don't know. Maybe, he might be better than we see. Maybe he's, but for some reason, he's just kind of in that middle deal. And he will explain to his daughter in a little bit, the different levels. There's 3 levels and he's in the middle. But the problem is you have to get to that top, the Sin-uchi top of the, Rakugo to make the money. And if he does that, it will set up their family, to be well off then, and he could actually do this. It's pretty much, in my mind, if you don't know anything about the Rakugo, just imagine that you are, there, you have a job, but your significant other is in medical school. If they can pass medical school, they're going to become a doctor, and now you're set. And you're, not that you only like them because of that, but you're kind of counting. But if they fail out, if they don't, then it's nothing. Yeah, you don't have anything then. What are they going to do? That's what they want to do with their life. And that's kind of how you have Shinta set up here. But you see that his daughter and his wife, they love him and support him. And you show
very
it.
Wholesome.
Yeah. And you show a cool thing. And you end up seeing right away again where this is well set up. Like I said, I was kind of joking a little about us not talking about it. We'll see how it goes. But you end up setting up the characters really well, because when we are introduced to Akane, who is, she's in the title. So that should have been, a light bulb go off, and I didn't realize until, afterwards. But you end up where she's kind of the main focus. Well, they had the day of, hey, tell everybody in class, who is your hero? Who do you respect the most? And she ended up saying her father. And a bunch of the kids, including this one jerk, he's kind of the Dudley.
Big Dudley vibes
this.
coming
Dudley.
up.
Yeah, Dudley's like, your dad's a loser, and my mom told me this. And she ended up, I don't know exactly what she did to him. She may have beat him up a bit, too, but she did throw shade at him to make him cry. But it also feels like he is...
he's put on, the evil grin with the fake crying.
Oh, yeah, well, and the funny thing is when you go into what is the principal's office to check things out, for some reason I thought the mom had an evil third eye.
GG evil
and this isn't anything to do with it. It was weird. And also, did not quite get that the one other guy was the principal, who also seemed to be laughing and crying along with the Dudley guy
at the start. And I thought, that's the principal.
And it's the principal, and he seems to be a little too involved here in the emotions of everything. But with that, you end up having a pretty cool setup, especially when you go back and read it again, because of the idea where, that Akane's dad, Shinta, is the Rokugaka, he is, because he's doing it. And so she ends up, hey, nobody's listening to me of what really happened. She actually does some Rokugo here to show the deal. She reenacts what happened. And even the principal's like, it's like I was there. Like, you see it. And so without knowing it, as you're reading this, because I think that you kind of can tell, but it doesn't play up as big as you go in here with the idea of, oh my God, yeah, she is really good at this.
Doing it, it's like she's doing impersonations, but she's doing like the same pose on the knees. Like, she's got the full enactment, and I really like when you get the art, you see like Dudley's face, and then she copies Dudley's face. Spot on.
Yeah. She has it spot on. And as you're doing that, the background also shows the flashback that we didn't, see, but it's showing the scene that she's reenacting. So it's doing really, really good. And I like that she just does it. And as she's doing that, they had called Shinta her dad, and he comes, but it almost feels like, she's winning the crowd over here. Even with Dudley seems like he's kind of into it, this guy. But the problem is, she's mad because she doesn't want anybody to say anything bad about her father. And yeah, you end up, even the idea of this mother has talked, nonsense, has talked trash. And so you end up having her get mad, and she is going to give it to this lady. And you can't do that. I mean, she's just a little girl. And Shinta does come up behind and stop her by doing the weirdest thing ever, by putting both of his hands into her mouth. It's very odd.
Oh,
like, he doesn't cover her mouth. He kind of like grabs it and I don't even know, but she's like, yeah, it's weird. And she's like, knock it off. And then even says, and he's apologetic, he's talking, and she says they were jerks. Come on, Dad, they were really jerks. And he says, we don't talk like that. You're not allowed to talk like that. That's not what a proper young lady does, or any kid. Don't do that. And then apologizes and says, I'm sorry for what my daughter did. But then he gets a little bit of a kickback at the end, because you do have this mother who, and again, it does play off like, Harry Potter almost, that this kid can't do anything wrong, in the mother's eyes. And this is what he's throwing shade at. I think the idea where he says, hey, by the way, I heard you said bad things about me, but we both have a long way to go in being parents who aren't an embarrassment to our kids. And like walks out, and you end up having him say, let's go. And she doesn't like that. She's like, what are you going to do about that? But they're not going to do anything. But with all of that going on, they go and, they get some what appears to be like ice cream and sit in the park and start talking about the stuff. And you see, is a very nice dad. And he is nice to her. We find out later that he is worried that she's going to stop liking him because he's a failure and things, which I never think would happen. But yeah, and you end up where he says to her, like, why would you do that? What was going on? She says, I fought back because I wanted to tell everyone how great you are, Dad. Instead, all I did was make you upset. And he ends up saying, you're too young to be worried about that stuff. You don't have to go around and try to defend me and do these things, because it'll be fine. But you do your things and don't get so upset. But then you go, and when they're going around, it looks like they're getting some groceries to eat and stuff, and they see some stuff, and you end up having Shinto's like, listen, I'm going to describe to you what I have to get done here, because there are 3 ranks of the Rokugaka, and I'm going to end up going, and I'm now a Fatasumi, but I want to be a Sanuchi. This is where I said there's some terms for that. You basically wants to be a master. But she knows this. She's like, oh, I know that. You told me before. And he's actually surprised. Like, oh, you remembered that? Like, that's odd. Like, I don't even remember really telling you. But you see that she
understands the Rakugo business.
Yeah, and she's into it. And you do see it more because he goes home. And, it's not like you could make this guy a real jerk. Like, he doesn't have a job. He's not. But everybody's real nice. I mean, everything is really nice in this as they go home.
He's not all just about the Rakugo. Like, we see him, he's making the dinner because the mom is the breadwinner. So, like, he's sorting out all that stuff, but he still has Rakugo on the mind.
Yep. Yeah. And yeah, he's trying to figure out some stuff. And she's like, okay, well, and he says, if I can get this next test, if I can get to the highest level there, we'll get a lot of money. I mean, I'll be able to do this, and then nobody can say bad things about me anymore. So it's almost like he kind of realizes that people would say he's kind of a sad sack, whatever, because, again, this isn't like in med school. This is something on the side. This would be like all of a sudden I say to my family, I'm going to learn how to play the guitar and start a band. I'm going to be the next Led Zeppelin. And they're just like, and for years, I'm just down here on the bass. It's kind of like the podcasting, really. I mean, if you really want to go with it. But I don't want to upset myself too much. But it's not like somebody's going to say, if you're there in what's your husband? Oh, he's in med school. Ooh, like, that's impressive. Like, what does he do? He tells stories on his knees on a stage. There they think, oh, that's nothing. Why is he chasing that crazy dream? And he's kind of a joke, but he isn't a joke to his daughter or his wife. We see his wife being very nice about it too, but boy,
I'm very supportive.
Yeah, Akane loves it. And she also, because she loves her dad, thinks that the Rokugo is really good and it's something that is great. And so her dad is doing the dream, but she's already kind of caught the bug. And you see it, though. And you also see, I like the little things in the art. You have Shinta go into his room that looks like, and it even has like, yes, take on Rokugo. No more deadbeat dad. Like, it's really weird when he's saying this as he goes in, right?
Father.
But when he goes into this, you also see that the guy has a mountain of books that he either needs a bookshelf or stuff, but it shows you.
This is what the Black Bull studio looks like, all this piled up there.
You see this, though, it shows you that he's really studied. He's really put his deal into this. So, hopefully he is good enough. And the problem is, I mean, by the end, you do get angry because he does seem good enough, but things happen. So you end up where you have the mom come back. She's a whippersnapper as well. Like, she comes back, she's sassy. And, that lady, and she's talking about the lady, the Dudley's mom. Like, that lady, she's pissed. Well, then get a life, lady. And so you're waiting for her to maybe come be this, like, straight-laced deal, but she's not. And she comes in, and she does see Akane looking in on her dad practicing, doing his Rokugo. And even the mom's like, oh, here I go. I got two fanatics in the house. But she explains it to us in a really cool way, the idea of what this Rokugo is. Because, again, me and you know what it is from the anime that we watched. If you didn't know, at this point, you still might not really understand what exactly is going on. But you end up having these stories being told by one person. They act out roles. Everybody has their little touch. But the big thing is to, almost transform into each person like we saw Akane do with Dudley earlier. And she's watching. And I like when she's like peeking through and she sees her dad and she's like, oh my God, my dad's doing this. Oh my God, I see three men. And in that, like, everything disappears with her. Like, she's almost hovering above the ground watching them. But she's in the scene, these three guys arguing, and she explains it. Yeah, and she explains the idea, one's mean-spirited, one's touchy, one's carefree. And with each shift in his direction, his expressions, voice, and way of speaking changes instantly. And this is where I said, every time, I said it again this week, even on the DC Comics podcast, the idea of showing something and not telling it, this actually does show you what you do when you do the Rokugo, and if it's done right, how, it transforms you into these other people, and people can imagine us.
I like the way the art style changes as well. And it does get a little PP
Yeah, it's
vibes.
like that, but it's good because you show, and I like how they do this, because they can say, oh, my dad's doing that, and he's like three guys there, and he's this, but when you see, again, like she was doing with Dudley in the principal's office, they have the guy that he's acting out looks like the surly, mean-spirited one, maybe whatever it is. You end up where he's like rolling up his sleeve or holding his shoulder, and the thing behind him is doing it. It almost feels like when you get like an Animal Man, and you want to show that they're doing the elephant powers.
You got right different behind, instincts.
Right? Yeah, and so you have that, and like even the mouth expressions and the eye, it's the same. So I think that that's really cool the way they do that. And this is where she ends up, Akane, the daughter, keeps saying, like, this is the best thing, because when you do this, you end up transforming, the stage into this crowded, it's so great. And it is crazy. I mean, the idea of performing like in a play or a movie, yeah, you want people to suspend disbelief. But I get the idea of this Rokugo, because it is the idea. You don't really have a lot of, you have to get people to believe in what you're doing by yourself. It's very much, there's no special effects. You know what I mean? There's no green screen here.
You don't have any props. The only props they have is the little fan thing. Everything else is just them.
And like you said before, though, what I like is it is almost the closest that I can get besides prop comics, which are nonsense like Carrot Top. But it is almost like the idea of a stand-up comedian, like the Shoten, because you have to go out and you have to kind of make people believe in these jokes. And when you have somebody like, just as an example, Jerry Seinfeld, who talks a lot about like when he was a kid and doing this, and it kind of does that same feel. Just that, but I think this is harder because you have to sit down too. That's the thing. There are these rules that go on.
These like set stories, but the whole thing is you have to put your own spin on it.
Yeah, and that's what happens by the end where, so you would end up like me and you would do this, and we're doing the, Little Red Riding Hood.
Class.
And we would go in, and maybe I'm going to do it where I'm going to make the big bad wolf a rapper who ends up lost. You can change stuff up. I'd be terrible. See, right there, I just blew it. I'm no master. But I do like, so what you have is a set outline, but you can improvise.
As long as like the broad strokes are correct, you can go wild.
Yeah, and while you're doing that, you end up where you even see in this later where he kind of changes his tone and changes his deal. And so that is the idea of getting these characters, making people believe that they can see the story, but also what is your personal spin on it. And so that's pretty cool. I think that is the cool deal. Again, do you even remember what was the anime?
Shingo, I barely remember it. And like they went a lot more in depth in that one.
And that's the weird. I think that helped me a lot with this because we know what this is, and
I still think for people who haven't seen that, and
now I think up to this page, now you're in. You're about halfway.
I think like once you read this bit, because you're like her, you're kind of in awe watching this guy concoct this crazy. Look at this scenario. So you get to kind of bask in the glory of this as well. So this is an eye opener. This is what gets you involved into it.
Now, with that, if you want to go layers, at the end when you do have Shinta do his routine, they even say, and we'll get to that in a minute. It's very quick moving this, but when you get to it, they say, he kind of went this route. We said you can improvise, you can do things, and he went character route first. He ended up actually pushing, and that's the thing. So did this chapter, because you don't start out with here's Rokugo, and then people get lost in interest. No,
we don't get the inside Rokugo. We get the inside characters.
Yeah, you get the Akane, even a little bit of the wife, Misaki, but Shinta as well. So I think that they're even playing it out as like the whole play of this is the same deal. And again, you are doing, it's just storytelling, right? You're on a stage and doing that. It's the same thing as a manga or a movie or whatever. And so here you go. And I think that they're playing the idea like a manga even has those tropes and things like that. And they're kind of playing along with that.
But I think you have to have that because it's all storytelling. Like there's no crazy fist fights or anything going on except off panel with Dudley, as far as we know. But like they have to have that strong character connection. We have to be rooting for Akane, rooting for the dad, rooting for the mom, even a little bit, rooting for all of them. Because
especially at the end, I don't think that we're going to get like we might go with some Rokuga, I can't even say Rokuga. When we go, it might end up being like on the sly and things. It's not going to be full out the deal because of the way it changes.
Bad boy Rakugo.
We'll see. But you end up where they're going to do this test. It's coming up. And you do see even, I love the idea where you have back-to-back panel where they're both, the dad and Akane, are doing this one move there because she's watching it, but she also loves her dad and thinks he's the greatest. So they're doing that. And that's like the mom's like, hello, I'm home. I'm surrounded by Rakugo fanatics. I don't know, where sometimes I can say it and sometimes I can't, but they end up, you skip to the thing. We go right to this, test, and they go in. He's nervous. He starts to get a little bit, a little shaky. He's getting the nerves. He's having problems, and he starts putting himself down. And really all through this, it gets heartbreaking by the end, because he's really doing this so that he can show his wife and daughter that he is something and to provide more for them. It's not for him as much as, it is, but it's for them as well. And they're there and they can't wait. And everything's going on. They run into his master, Master Shiguma, who ends up, seeming, and he's like, I haven't seen you guys in a while. They don't really probably have family around a lot when they're doing this. And he even says, Akane, you've grown up so much and all this. And he seems very nice. And so he seems to be like there, all right, my student's going to be going. This is going to be great. And then you go and see Shinta as he's, preparing, getting ready. But then you see the guy who's going to be like one of the judges or the main judge, Isho Arakawa. I mean, can you just tell me right now that he's not going to be happy here?
Comes because the guy is like Mr. Scrooge. Jeez.
Guy's just miserable, right? He's just miserable. And even when he comes in, he ends up seeing the master of, and this is what I think is in play here. When he ends up seeing Master Shiguma, he goes, that idiot's here now? Oh, that puts me in a foul mood. And the kind of funny thing is the idea that you use that word idiot again, where it was like, ooh, that's a bad word. You shouldn't say that. Now he comes in, that idiot's here. And so he's like, oh, he's just going to fail everyone.
He's spelling out trouble before, like, as soon as he hears, oh, it's that guy's students, I'm out.
I have other ideas too, but, I mean, because really, as many people as he passes, there's more competition for his dollar bills, y'all. Because, he's one of the guys, he's doing things we see by the end.
Tour,
that's what I'm saying. I think that this guy's a full-out jerk, but why? Do you roll dice or, draw straws? Why did they have him do anything? You could tell that he's already a sourpuss and he's just going to be a jerk. And by the end, you got to give some reasons, but you end up that's where Shinta's like, oh my God, I'm going to mess up. I'm not going to do good. No. What am I, stupid? I got to do this. I got to do this for them. I'm going to do this. And this ends up being very much Shoten when he goes up on the stage and he's going and everybody's, excited. Here he comes. And, Akane's, oh, here comes Dad. This is going to be awesome. You see some other judges. And he does come up. And he starts out, and it does a very visual-like thing. He goes, and all the eyes are on him, and that's what you see. You see a bunch of swirling eyes and things like that. And he's trying to figure out how to do this. He's trying to read the room. Again, like I said, like the show on Shoten, if you are reading that, and he realizes this is going to be very cold and critical, but I got to do something. And he starts off, and it's weird, but I like it. You end up where he is going through this little opening monologue. There are set ways that you do this. So he's doing his preamble deal, and it's not going well. But you see him adjusting and thinking about it in his mind. Like at one point, he might have, maybe I'll play this off like I am a politician, and I'm going to give slogans, and I'm going to do this. Things aren't going well at all.
And then the old guy, Scrooge, really doesn't like that. It seems like with all these judges, like the really old ones, they are like, you gotta stick to the book. You gotta do it exactly the way that they like it.
They seem to go, but the problem is this Isho, this big guy who's going to be the big deal. He seems to just like it one way.
And his way or the highway.
That's not the deal. But the way is that once he gets past this preamble where everybody's just like, this guy stinks. Like, what's going on here? I don't understand. But you do end up, seeing things too where he thinks back. You end up where he is doing this, he's failing, and he has a flashback deal of, some of the hard times, but also seeing that Akane is mimicking him and loves it, and they support him, and then he's like, I got to do this, and all of a sudden, boom, he ends up like breaking out of it and starts the routine, and everybody's like, oh my God, what happened? Like, he just got happy, and he's ready, and he's like, all right, let's go. And he kind of makes fun of himself, like, oh, yeah, what I just said, that's a course for disaster. Oh, my God, because he had the thing about already starting to drink. He's gotten into this story. And basically the story that they're all going through is this drunken fisherman who goes to the seashore and he finds some money and that helps him out, but he's a drunk and his wife's or whatever. But in this, the way that he changes it up, that most people seem to give the description of the ocean when you go to the shore, because that's a way to get people in, and you can use your abilities to kind of paint the picture. He skips that completely. He ends up where, and again, maybe some of this will be lost on some people who don't really know the story, even though we get it. But I'm telling you, some people might be like, I'm done with it. But it's a shame, because it is good where you then have the judges thinking like, oh, he skipped the seashore part, but that's the part where you can really like give the descriptive stuff. That's the wow moment. The wow moment of that is to like, and then if you do that, obviously you can do your own thing. So there's a tugboat. This like is me. Oh, the seagulls. They pooped on my head. Oh, you damn seagulls. What are you doing to me? Like, this is me doing my rope. And also there's a lot of waves. Like, I don't know what you do. I see the worst.
I don't think they have the soundboard going whenever they have the rack go.
No, I'm like, and then all of a sudden it's really warm, but it's January, and this little girl comes out, and she's pissed off of global warming.
Greta.
Oh my goodness. Geez. See, am I painting the picture now? And then I'm there, and like this guy comes and kicks sand in my face because I'm listening to my boombox, and he doesn't like that I like Black Pig.
Jeez.
Bing bong. See, I'm doing it all. Amazing. Right? Then this guy comes up and says "Bing bong," and then kicks me in the butt. I don't know what's going on, right? And then I look, and I'm like, is that Dr. Phil with some girl? Oh my goodness! Just trying to make up stuff. You should have mentioned the soundboard. No, but he ends up where these guys are like, okay, I get it, because he's skipping the wow factor visual to concentrate more. I guess, you're led to believe in this. You have kind of a set time, because if you skip, why skip anything? But that's what he's doing. So he's gonna end up expanding the character work by leaving behind a little of the descriptive stuff.
The character is that where he really shines. And I do like as well, like, you kind of get a sense of that, because we do see a bit of the art and it's in the old-fashioned style. But whenever he gets straight to the character bit here, it's even more detailed. So it's like, it's showing he's really putting all the emphasis into these characters, and it's shown in the art.
I think some of the old school art too shows you that it's like an old tale that everybody does
Stolen
as well.
my dreams.
Oh my God, it's warm out here. What is going on, Greg? Why are you in this story? But yeah, everybody's lit. Now this is what the best part, and here's the layers again. Here's the layers, and I'll give you the layers. All these guys, these judges, they're all going through. Like, oh my God, I see what he's doing. He's doing that. Ooh, what is Isho, the miserable, what is he thinking all this time? Nothing. He's already decided. He basically, you never get his point of view of the, oh my God, he did this, but he's going to pull it around to that and then maybe do that. The other guys are really dissecting what he's doing and trying to figure it out and judging it. Yeah, and judging it in a way of, okay, I like this way, but he's turned it into this, and this is interesting. Nobody does this, but you only have the one guy who mentions, oh, that Isho's not going to like this. This isn't the way he likes it. We never get his thoughts, really, of point of view of what's going on, because I think even at the beginning you see...
He might as well have just walked out. He's already made his decision.
Now, at one point you see, I think he's sleeping when they come out. He has his eyes closed. Either that or he has his hand in his, tunic deal or whatever. But is that he's rubbing his belly like, oh, I'm hungry, or is he just falling asleep? I don't know. But you see these other guys, and really, if you're going to go by tropes, anybody with that John Waters pencil-thin mustache, you would think that guy's got, some issues, but he seems to be okay.
He's the good one. Evil mustache is the good one. It's funny glasses, man.
And the heavier set guy, he just says, how can you cut it out? But he says, I think that this is what he's doing. He's trying to figure it out, though, at least. But he's not like, this is bullcrap, I'm done. He is thinking it through and like, why would you do that? That's like a sweet bun without the sweet.
How dare you?
And it's just a bun. I mean, who wants a bun? But you get that they're trying to really figure this out and really go with the idea of being a deal. This is almost, it is basically like you go in front of the class and have a speech, and you're there in school and you go through the speech, and then you end up and the teacher just yells out, fail, and then nothing. Well, why did I fail? I don't have to tell you, I'm the teacher. That's what this
Get
guy
out of my
plays,
class.
because as this goes, he gets stronger and stronger, and you do see then that, and I think, again, there's some really cool little things. When you end up seeing that old school art, like you said, and the drunken, fisherman, whatever, you have these little panels, and it's the whole scene, and you have these things. But as it goes on, it gets closer and closer and more emotional into the characters. And at the one point where the guy yells, "Oh my God, it is, you need Finn here." I'd like to get a little thing with Finn. He's chosen to go all in on the characters, but you see the big characters there, and they realize, and the best is that Akane thinks it's the greatest because he's the wife in the story of a guy who is kind of a joke and not able to do things right, whatever. He is playing it up as his wife and probably him. You know what I mean? And she realizes that. Oh my God. Yeah. And like, oh my God, he's playing mom. The mom's the deal. And then you end up seeing why he's doing that. And all this is the idea that he does want to succeed. And they were the ones always there, just like this fisherman's wife, even though she's yelling or whatever, but she hasn't left them. And so you get all that. And he said, I've been waiting for this day, the day that I become a Shinichi, which is the higher level of master. And there is just a wave of just, love going through everybody. I mean, you end up having his Master Shiguma. He's clapping like, oh my God, like, this is it. He's done it. I mean, I'm so proud of him. You have those two judges, pencil thin and kind of, a little heavy set. I don't want to shame the guy, but glasses, we'll call him. They seem like they're not even supposed to be, any bit emotional, whatever.
He's smiling.
He's smiling. He thinks that this is really good. There's people clapping and going, which they didn't think this was going to happen. And you even have, they're clapping like at the debut of Blackpink. You're not supposed to clap that much, but they did. And Akane is like, wow, this is great. Dad's so cool. And so you skip. We don't need to see the others, but we wonder what happened. But in this, you end up where then Master Isho comes up because he's supposed to give his last deal. And you kind of, this is the thing, because of the tropes of manga and how we're going, you kind of wonder if he gets this ranking, how is the story going to progress from that? The only thing you could think is that maybe his daughter will follow in his footsteps, things like that. So I was already worried. This guy is a stick in the mud, right? He's, a negative Nancy here, and he gets up. Is this on?
I thought this guy was supposed to be like the expert. He's been doing this for years. Is this on?
I swear to God, they had to wake him up. Is this on? Hey, try to bait dip. Hey. And he gets it. He's like, first of all, I'd like to extend my thanks to all of you. I'm like, maybe he's a gem. That's kind of cool. Yeah, you know why? Because all these people are bullcrap, and I expel every person from the school who performed tonight. Everyone. That shows you, like, one person, we only saw Shinta. People were applauding, like, they were all that bad that you would expect. Like, I didn't know being expelled was part of the plan here. I didn't know. This would be like, I go to get my driver's license, and the next thing I know, I'm not allowed to walk anywhere. I just don't get it, right? All of a sudden, I just done. No, I failed.
And that's the thing. At first,
they're done.
They think, that's a funny joke. Oh, look at the Joker over here. He ain't kidding.
This guy ain't joking. Yeah, because they're like, oh, man, what a joke. Good job, joke master. And he's like, no. And then pretty much does the Billy Madison, like, you have made everybody in this auditorium dumber for what they just witnessed. It really is. He says, I apologize to everybody here because you guys didn't deserve this awfulness. And this is the thing, though. It gets to be a jab then at the school and really, I think, time. Master Shiguma. And we'll find out at some point that maybe he didn't. I don't know, because he's higher up. He's what
it looks like he just flew into town with a few days of thrill and a few
days of thrill, and his arms are tired, right? To expel. I don't know. What, did Shiguma sleep with his wife?
He came out here for blood.
The minute that he ended up, and the funny thing is, like, he's like, oh, Shiguma's here, that idiot, now I'm in a bad mood. Like, almost like this is a power play towards him.
Today.
So, yeah, like, what's up with this? This is one expelling contest. And then they go, like, oh, man. it says, it makes me wonder what you've been doing for the last decade. Not that there's any point to asking them. They were lost causes from the start.
This is no longer the hottest place in the world for Rakugo.
No. He's like, that's all I have to say. And they're like, really? Because what you did was, this would be the idea too. Like, me and you, we'll even go, regular, your football, not my football, Super Bowl going on at the moment. So we're going to soccer. And you end up like, okay, we have a new coach coming in. He's going to inspect the team. And your team, you're pretty good. Somehow you have a new coach, whatever. And they come in and like, okay, let's see what you got. Okay, you starting 11, you're out. You're fine. Like, what is this school going to have now?
There ain't no
These
school
were
no
like
more.
the best going. Oh, it's like, what do we have now? A bunch of, and he's like, good night, and then goes, and it is a bit heartbreaking. I mean, you're like, you wanted him to, do good for his family, and the wife is just like, what the heck just happened here? And all that time and effort, and so I thought it was going to be one of those like, well, he doesn't have the say to expel me. This is like, again, it's not a contest. It is a test to go up the next level. But this is like you're going for your black belt. Next thing you know, you ain't got no belt.
Like, it's not even like you get bumped. They were all second level, and then so they already passed the opener level. You don't get bumped down to opener. You get.
I don't even think they should ever get bumped down. This is almost like the idea where this is not, bonkers. With I'm going to try 7-10. Like, I just thought that it's a shame.
Try again next year.
Anything like you go, you have people pass the bar. Do they do it the first time? Maybe not, but you go and do it again. You go and the problem is that if you don't, you can't be a lawyer until you try this again at a certain time and things like that. That I just thought this was going to be. Oh man, I have another year that I have to wait to do this, and I'm sorry. And then we would see the struggles if he keeps going or gives it up.
These guys are never allowed to tell a joke again.
It's Bad Boy Rakugo, and I guess there's no other schools, or you're not allowed. I don't know. I didn't know it was so
could be blacklisted. They try to sit down on that little pillow. No, not anymore.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's like the Magician's Guild. You're blacklisted. I expected him to go, and since he is such a theatrical guy, he ends up there. This is what I got to say to you, and starts doing the classic like fishing reel with the finger going up. Like, oh my god, that guy's hardcore. But he goes off, and that's the big thing at the end here is, what the hell? Why did he do that? Like, he didn't even pay attention. We didn't even know that he thought good, bad, or indifferent. They even say that he, didn't end up having a reason. He just left, and and you end up where, oh my god, Shinta is my pupil. You can't you see. Master Shiguma is like, this is my guy. What are you doing? And he ends up, whatever that was, it was not Shubahama, which was the play type deal. The thing they were acting
these guys are all sticklers for they got to be on script the whole time.
Yeah, but this guy is a little different. He's got some sort of personal deal because he won't even end up. And then you end up having the Rokugaka Shinta Arakawa died. And I'm like, oh my God, did he just die? I'm like, he's like, okay. That's Akane Masaki, I'll meet you at home. Maybe not. And she's like, well, which way are you going? He's like, kind of gonna go walk along the bridge. I think I'm gonna go to the bridge, maybe like a really busy traffic type day, and maybe go purchase, maybe a hand. I don't know. I don't know. I'll see you
walk
later.
Off a long pier.
By the way, Masaki, my wife, my life insurance policy, it's in the third drawer on the left. Just I'll make it seem like this was natural. I'm like, he's done. And so by the end, then it says that at least the Rokugaka part of it, he's given it up. But again, that was his dream, and that was Akane's dream was through her dad as well. And then you end up like, okay, what the hell is this? Like I thought, like you said, it felt like one shot.
This is a left turn.
A one shot to the gut is what happened. Is what happened. But yeah, and then you get this page turn. The story doesn't end here.
Feels like a time skip.
You end up where, yeah, because it is Akane. She looks a little older, like she's in high school maybe now, but maybe she just changed her hair. But I think there was a bit of a time skip here where she's showing up in this jerk off. I'm trying not to curse. I almost called him an a-hole. But this Isho, the guy who expelled her father, is playing a solo performance at the auditorium. and she ends up showing up. She's got her fan in hand, Luke. And that's the funny thing. You don't really know what that is really even from this, but we know she ends up gripping it. And like, in fact, it says, that day was only the beginning of my story. And that's the thing. It is Akane-banashi, which is Akane's story. So that's what this is all about, probably in her quest. And yeah, like we said, I'm not so sure that the Rokuga is, a big deal with the ladies, right? So we don't know
but that would fit in with the whole idea. He's the old ways traditionalist big jerk.
I mean, he's just a jerk. I mean, I think it's personal.
This time it's personal.
He doesn't like. I mean, just the idea that he says that this master Shiguma is an idiot and didn't like him. He was going to fail any student of his, and so even then, he just doesn't give. So yeah, so you have this girl who thought her dad was the greatest and learned, but kind of saw already that as a little girl, she was probably his equal already. You didn't get the idea like she was like, oh my God, she's the greatest thing. They never got to that because she's just doing it for fun or whatever. Now she's on a mission and she ends up with that fan and she's ready to go. But yeah, I liked him. It was funny too, but really, I mean, you could possibly, we haven't gotten the other chapters, obviously, but I kind of think that this first chapter, you might be able to skip later. Just know that her dad failed from this guy, because
as far as chapter ones go, it feels like I'm looking forward to the next one. But if that was it, I'd be like, okay, and then you could just make up. Oh, I suppose she went and did her own stuff.
I just jumps off
I'm
the
jumping
bridge.
Off the bridge too.
That funeral. At the funeral, she's doing the Rokuga to reenact the death. Everybody's like, that's not
bad taste.
Appropriate, young lady. But yeah, so with that, or she's reenacting or actually acting out how she's going to go and find this guy and kill him. She's there, slice his throat. But yeah, by the end, I thought, oh, like, I like that. Like you said, you could be satisfied with this first chapter, but it was the weird deal, and we don't get this much, the way this was played out. The idea that you end and like, okay, well, that's not the deal. The next chapter is the banger. You know what I mean? Like, I want to see more of her now.
Because a lot of this
doing
is set up for her. Like, you have to have that emotion with the dad for it to pay off. But as a result, all we get from her is she really likes her dad and she really likes Rakugo. And next chapter, there's going to be blood.
And that seems like next chapter's like, this is almost like a prelude.
Like the real chapter one for her starts next week.
Yeah, and that's the story we're going to follow. So you end up with that. But it sets up everything. Why she would be angry, why she loves this stuff. So it's necessary. It just, at the end, I thought, boy, I have more excitement for next chapter than actually the one I just read. And that's weird. It's not like oh my God, that was awesome, can't wait. I was like, oh, I want to get and so by that, I'm wondering, do you think we'll get like a 30-pager, the second one?
Usually you get the color page and you get like a bit of an extended, and then the third chapter is just back to normal. So it's going to be a little bit longer.
I mean, but even things like the Imagi Lumiere that we just started, that had, 70-some, then 50, then 40.
Yeah, that had long up till chapter 4.
And because it was so long at the beginning, this one's a quick one, but I almost want like an equal amount next chapter so we can really see what's going on with her. And then the art and the character. And again, like I said earlier, you're doing a thing on the Rokuga. You're going to end up, you need to have character designs that are pretty cool, and they are. You're not going to have a ton of, it's not Sakamoto days where you're going to have a ton. Now, the stories are going to be played out when they do the stories. They'll probably be pretty cool the way you do that. But with that, the art is really good and really detailed.
Are very on point as well, which is good for, the Rakugo doing the emotions, but you get some, not Anya level faces, but nearly,
No, but the expressions are there. And again, most of the set pieces here are in a room, in an auditorium, in a dressing room. There's not a lot going on. But when you do end up, what I really thought was cool, just as an aside, at the end, when she is walking and says, of my story there, I'm like, Oh, that looks pretty good. I mean, that almost looks like, Dr. Stone-esque, like backgrounds and stuff at points. So I'm like, that's pretty cool. Though it does look like that auditorium is a little run down at the front of that.
That's what I'm thinking. Like, is he like having a hard time selling the tickets? What's
happening
there?
The thing is, why would that make the landscapers? Because it looks like really shoddy. Like, is this like one of those stadiums that isn't like the best of the? I don't know. It does look a little run down,
for the cheap seats now? What's going on?
I don't know. You see something in the deal, but it doesn't look like they're not queuing up really big. But maybe it's later. I don't know.
Maybe the Rago business ain't what it used to be.
I don't know. Do you think that it's such a
It's a shame we didn't have any students in the school to pass on the challenge.
There is nobody else. Again, it's all these old crappy guys. They're like, I don't need to see Father Time out there. Look at this guy. Nonsense. Where's the young, hot, new one? Where's the hotness here? I see that guy. Yeah, so with that, though, I think that as an aside, if I remember right, the anime that we keep mentioning, but I think that was kind of the deal of it, too. Remember that not many people, that not many younger people were doing it, and it was kind of losing its zeal, but I would think that would be the case.
That's like, another interesting aspect is like, this is, Rago is usually aimed, I would say, not at the type of audience that Shonen Jump
It's
readers.
An older person thing.
It's old people.
Like the Z-Show guy. Yeah. This is like, in my mind, it's me listening to old-time radio every night before I go to bed. I know that it's wacky, and not many people do it.
We don't see like the Marvel Comics old-timey radio superhero.
The old people show up, and they're like, oh, you have some, and of course it's me and you. I have my ball cap sideways because, I'm one of them young punks. We got the skateboards. We're the bad boy skateboarders. We're like, look at that old lady going into the Rakugo. And she's like, you and your smartphones and your tablets. I like using my imagination because that's all it is. But I don't think a younger set really wants that. Like the idea.
Whenever we had the haiku, somebody, or after all that, everybody was getting into the volleyballs. Do you think now everybody's gonna be getting into the Rakugos? No,
because this is no haiku.
Yeah, but the guy was drawing footballs. Now he's drawing the Rakugos.
Yeah, I don't know. I never saw anybody getting into more of the volleyballs. I think they were into the haiku. We did the Kuroko basketball. I didn't see anybody. Somebody emailed me. I'm now taking up my dream of basketball.
We did the Candy Flurry. Next thing I didn't.
Next thing I know, I was eating sweets.
I didn't see no candy robots going about the place.
That's true. Really.
My God,
I wish. I'd defeat them by eating them. Speaking of the deal, me and Logan are starting our training tomorrow. I'm going to start getting back in shape. I want to do a basketball, old men's basketball league.
Watch out, down Shinatsu.
Yeah, really. I'll take you down. Maybe I'll do badminton. They do that pickleball a lot at the YMCA, that old people thing. Maybe I'll do that.
Oh, my goodness.
Just ram that down their throats. I don't even know the terms that I could use. I was going to say the ball or whatever, but I don't know. But yeah, in my mind, it's like, okay, the younger kid, well, I can go see the new Spider-Man movie or go watch this old guy pretend that he's a drunken fisherman. I'm going to the Spider-Mans. You kids! They're yelling at us. We're like, take that, lady. We're the bad boy skateboarders.
Whoa.
And then we get on our skateboards. I break my hip. You go off a cliff.
Beautiful.
I don't know how good you are at skateboarding.
Not very.
But I don't think you haven't really mentioned a lot of.
I don't give off. Yeah, I don't give off that skateboarder or any athletic.
I saw that PlayStation sweater that you were wearing on your birthday. Did not give me confidence
it was
in
very
your
cozy.
athletic ability.
Okay, I'll give you that.
Yeah, you said people liked it, but the thing is,
I was the top of the pub that evening.
Again, I thought it was funny just because I'll always that just shows you my trash talking. I'll just look at the most obvious
ammunition from months ago. Oh my goodness!
Yes. Oh my God, it was months ago. But what would you give me?
You know what? For all the shade that we were throwing, I did like it quite a bit. I like it quite.
I don't like it as much as you. No. I know because.
But of
Johnny.
Oh my goodness! But we've had a couple of the new ones. We had the Magi Lumiere. I think Magi Lumiere. I think I still have the soft spot for that. I think so far that's the gem of.
That's my favorite of the new ones.
We did have the.
I don't know how big that's going to be.
I don't know. Well, yeah, I don't know. This to me, I like this more than the Kajiki Chef cooking super monsters.
Yeah,
we haven't
I've
talked
read
about that
Kajiki
officially
Chef.
yet.
No, I've read it. It's okay.
It's okay. It's nothing special.
Yeah, it's nothing
but,
great. No.
But this, I have a feeling this has the capacity to be something really interesting.
Yeah, because of Akane. She's a gem. I mean, that's all it is. She's going to be a gem.
But
and we've
had this whole chapter to set up her, like, you know, what's making her tick. Now, if we go forward and the focus is on her, then we could have something really special, I think.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to see what happened to the dad.
Hopefully nothing life-threatening.
Yeah, what's happening. Like, I expect him to be working like a low-level job almost. Like, I mean, here's the deal. The trope of the low-level businessman, the Japanese trope of that, where he's just at a cubicle. Yeah, salaryman. That's what I think he'll end up being. And he'll be like, and she'll be like, why don't you have the passion anymore? And he's like, I can't.
I gotta pay the bills.
That's done. I have to pay the bills now. That's what I would expect. And then she's gonna have to do it. And then at the end, he's so inspired by her Rakugo that he has a heart attack and dies. And at the end.
It always ends on a sour note with that. Oh, jeez.
It always does, right? Well, isn't that the life of Rakugo?
Oh.
I mean, really, in a nutshell. But what would you give
I'm going to go, 9 out of 10.
I'm at an 8.
Okay.
And the thing is, I'm more going to center on the next chapter to see, we
give it the 3-chapter rule and see how it goes.
We do. But usually when we like something, like, I really do like Akane. I think she's great. But I have to see what we're going to do with her. If she's like, I don't need jaded, pissed off Akane, right? She's there like, I'm going to she's smoking. And then she gets out her switchblade. Like, I don't need that.
Maybe she has a switchblade instead
angry.
of the fan. Because it's bad.
But it's a switchblade. But then it turns into a fan. But also it's a comb.
Transformer.
She combs her hair with it. Yes. And then but no, I do want to see what's going on. And I do expect that kind of barrier. The girls don't do the bad boy Rakugo. You get out of town. And then she says, I'm going to do the bad girl Rakugo, like you said. And they're like, yeah, like we said, get out of town. We don't want you. So we'll see. We'll see what's going on. Or is she doing it on the slide? It's one thing, like, has her dad, we see book burning.
Is this the underground Rakugos?
Yeah, is it? I mean, you have to go, and it's almost like, if you can think of 8 Mile, with Eminem doing the rap battles.
You gotta grab the pillow and run away when the cops come.
Damn right.
Hey, was somebody doing Rakugo in here?
We told you kids, no Rakugo allowed. This is a no Rakugo zone. Hey, you jerks, we're not listening to you. We're Rakugo for life. So they run away. Oh, yeah, that'd be great. And then they're like, take this. And then they start acting out like attacks. And the police are like, stop acting like you're hitting me. I don't like it. But I'm going to really arrest you. This is
real handcuffs.
That would be great. It's the one guy like, oh no, the cops, let's go. And he's like, I'm now pretending I'm running really fast. He's just sitting there. It's the easiest bust ever. In the meantime, they have other crazy stuff going on in the back room. That's probably the main concern, right? But with that, bad boy. See, you're making me laugh just thinking of all the possibilities. I think this is why nobody listens. It's so ridiculous.
That's why they listen.
Thanks, everybody. Yeah, I'm going 8.
8 is solid for what it is,
Yeah, like I said, and the weird thing about it is next chapter, it could, and I do expect it to be good. And that would almost
that's the reassurance.
Let me go back. If you remind me, because we'll probably talk about this on the weekly show. Very weekly. And when we do it, you can remind me what is your score now for this first chapter, because if it does pay off then, and we really kick it in and go, I will give this more of a props because of the setup of motivation and character work. But at the moment, it's kind of almost feels like it's half done. You know what I mean? Like, I'm almost like it's an incomplete.
We still need that finishing touch with Akane.
Yeah, I just have to see how this plays out and what she's doing and whatnot. And I want to see some bad girl Rakugo.
Oh, yes, indeed.
We'll do that. But yeah, so that's that. But thanks, everybody, for listening. This is hot off the presses, so it goes right up on the feed. So I can say things in the here and now. But if you end up liking this or whatnot, and you want to rate and review it, you can go and do that. But also follow us on Twitter at Weird Manga. Go to our Instagram at Weird Science Manga, and then go to our Patreon, Weird Science Manga. Patreon.com, Weird Science Manga. So go check that out. It's all in the show notes, all that. Next week, I guess we're going to go back to, the regular deal and go, and we'll have to pick what we do early access. But I keep saying Phantom Seer is going to be on the regular feed, so hopefully that ups the ante and does that, and hopefully people enjoy us being goofballs, because that's kind of what we do. We're not stuffy. No stuffiness here, right?
We don't know how to be
Sometimes
stuffy.
I get stuffed up. We really don't. But yeah, now all I think of is that PlayStation sweater. It's driving me nuts. Thinking of that thing.
See, people aren't going to know what this looks like, so you're just painting a picture. You are painting the Rakugos in their mind.
I'll do the Rakugo. Just imagine this guy. He's at his birthday, right? He's out there on the town. He's got this PlayStation sweater that reminds you of probably. Just think of any awful Christmas sweater and turn it into a PlayStation.
Listen, that was a nice Christmas sweater that I was wearing.
Yeah, there you go. It worked out for you. It was around Christmas,
there you go.
Right?
Right?
So it all worked out. And then imagine this guy getting so smashed, but really, it's a Tuesday.
Sounds like my type of Christmas.
When you say this guy got drunk, right? People are like, "Oh man, really? That's crazy." I'm like, no. He's Irish and he got drunk. They're like, "Holy crap! Like that must have been drunk."
Boom.
So there you go, little Irish shade. But yeah, thanks everybody. Thanks for listening. Thank you, Luke, for having that sweater and inspiring a nation or a world, probably. So we will talk to everybody later. And remember, we have our Picks of the Week show that comes out on the Patreon as well. Comes out on Tuesday or Wednesday, but on Wednesday night, our weekly show goes up where we usually talk about 8 or 9 chapters of the current books coming out on the weekly Shonen Jump. So if you haven't listened to that, check it out. We're just as goofy.
There we go.
So whatever, right? We're trying. But thanks, everybody, and we'll talk to you later.